Hi there guys, it's Joel here from Aussie Chart Trends. Today's market update is for the week ending Friday the 11th of January 2013. This is the weekly update of the smp500 and the asx200. Before we get into today's update though, I've just got to remind everyone that aussiecharttrends.com.au and this video are for educational purposes only. Nothing stated at the site or in this video is intended to be used as any form of investment advice. I'm not a licensed professional. You need to make your own decisions regarding your investments. I'm just here to help anyone searching for a practical direction in today's markets. So firstly, let's take a look at the S&P 500 on the daily chart. Here in the daily time frame, we have been watching this inverted head and shoulders pattern with our left shoulder here, our head, and our right shoulder. Now, the only funny thing about this inverted head and shoulders pattern is that we didn't have the exact symmetry of our left shoulder on the right hand side here. Under this 1415 area is the equivalent to around that left shoulder area, and the market was able to find support there, but then we got underneath it and all sorts of funky things were going on with this right hand shoulder. But the fact is we have got above that 1435 area, which is the neckline to this inverted head and shoulders pattern. Now if we measure the depth of this pattern by measuring from the head all the way up to the neckline, we have that target there of around that 1520, 1530 area as an expected target from this pattern. Now let's take a look on the hourly chart and see what's going on there in the short term. Okay, looking on the hourly chart here, let me refresh your mind. We had this big rally up last week, and then the markets decided to go up in this very small channel. Now the fact that this channel was rising, it gave us a clear signal there that we were expecting that this bottom line would break and that we would probably potentially come down to test that 1440 level. Now we didn't get that test on the 1440 level, even though during the week we had a few signals we were watching. We were potentially looking at a little head and shoulders top there, but that pattern really didn't play out. Plus the symmetry there of the left shoulder, there was no real bottom there to line that up with. But I did have that there on the radar, and we were expecting that either we would see a bounce down here on this blue line, or that we would probably break out to the upside. Now the fact that the market made this little reversal pattern, which we identified on Thursday's video, which is a little inverted head and shoulders pattern there, we had a breakout and then a nice bounce there with support, and then the market started to go up. So we had a minimum expected move from this little pattern all the way up to around that 1475, 1476 area. So the S&P 500 has been making its way up to that target slowly. But overall, guys, I think that we are actually looking at a larger pattern within this smaller pattern, and that is just another inverted head and shoulders pattern where we've had our left shoulder, our head, our right shoulder with our little handle pattern breakout. So if we can maintain support here around that 1468, 1470 area, well then we could expect a measured move from this little pattern by measuring the depth once again. What do we have there? That's around that 1485 area. So this week we should probably rally up to meet that minimum expected target of our 1475 area. Then in the coming days and weeks we'll see a rally up to that 1485 level, and most likely tagged on this blue line. Okay, looking here at the hourly chart of the asx200, this week we've seen a move below this channel line several times, and then the asx200 briefly got back within this green channel line that we've been watching. Then we closed below it. So overall, guys, I think what's going on here, we just draw a line over the peak that we had over here around that 4,743 level, and we extend this line out just over the previous two peaks that we've had. You can see here that we're potentially looking at a symmetrical triangle pattern. Now this looks to me like a continuation pattern to the upside, but for now, guys, what we'll do is we'll just draw these two lines blue, and we'll look either for a break to the upside or a break to the downside. But I do think that this is a continuation pattern because the fact that we do have a plain level here of support that is sitting horizontally for us, and then we have this overhead diagonal resistance level that should get taken out eventually. And I think that we'll probably head on up there to new highs, but we do have overhead resistance there of around that 4,725 level, 4,730, and now we have this overhead green channel line as an area of resistance. But guys, looking at the last week of data, it's as if that the asx200 has actually just forgotten that we've got this area here of resistance and support. So I'm not going to rely too much on this bottom green channel line, but we'll keep it there just in case the market does react to it. So coming into the week, we have an area there of support around that 4,690 level and overhead resistance around that 4,725. But that line there is descending, so depending on where and if we get a breakout to that upside, we would be looking at a measured move. We measure the first reactive move down and we add that onto where the market breaks out. Say if we break out over here somewhere, we would be looking at a target there of around that 4,760 level. So everything's fairly bullish at the moment. I know there's a lot of chart readers out there at the moment saying that the markets are going to plummet any day, but guys, I really don't see it at the moment, and we will wait for a signal to get out of the market if there is anything dangerous looking out there. But at the moment, everything's looking pretty good to me. Alright guys, that pretty much wraps up this week's update. Thanks very much for watching, and let's see what happens this week with the S&P, and let's see if we get those bullish targets met. If you're not a subscriber to my YouTube channel, all I ask is that you do subscribe, and also if you haven't been to my website yet, pop past there and go to the forum if you like. Every now and then I do an article on a certain stock, and you can also put in your name over here and your email address for my newsletter. Every now and then, maybe once a month, I'll send out a newsletter just to let everyone know what's going on in the overall direction. But over at tradingforblondes.com.au, my updates are regularly posted over there on their website. Pop past there, you might have a good read there. Alright guys, thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back on Monday with a free daily market update.